Hey, Shireen, I see you. Welcome. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All right. One second, all right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming out this Thursday evening to allyBoston, You, Me, and Cultural Cuisine, a discussion on the lasting effects of cultural cuisine and the health of people of color. My name is Marlon Solomon. I'm the founder of the Afrimerican Culture Initiative. We're a nonprofit organization based here in Boston. Our mission is to build cultural bridges in the African diaspora through education, technology, and travel. Our goal is to be the #1 African diaspora cultural education provider in the U.S. And what you're here to see today is our first graduates of our program. And this program was brought to you by the City of Boston Youth Employment and Engagement, the summerlink 2020. And we have 5 lovely students that are graduating tomorrow from our organization. We're proud of the work they put in. And without further ado, I will introduce Chris, who is to be your host tonight.
Hello, my name is Chris. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Hyde Park, and I'm a Nigerian American. In the fall, I'm going to UMass Lowell to study pre-medicine in the hopes of becoming a doctor. For the last few weeks, me and my colleagues here have been working on many projects with Afrimerican, and including this, we have been doing a lot of work to increase the amount of knowledge on African Americans and in the culture in the United States. So starting off today, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Kyle.
Thank you, Chris. So my name's Kyle. I'm 16. I'm a junior. I'm going into my junior year of high school, and I like playing football. What else is there? I'm from Guyana, and I hope to play football professionally someday. And while I'm in college, I would like to study business.
Nice. Chris?
Oh, next we have Kaya.
Hi, my name is Kaya. I'm 16. I'm Jamaican American. I'm from Roxbury. And when I get older, I want to become a civil rights lawyer. And also in college, I want to major sociology.
Great. So next we have Uche.
Hi, my name is Uche. I'm 16 and I live in Hyde Park. And I'm Nigerian, and I don't really know what I want to major in when I'm older, but right now I'm interested in business.
Great. And finally we have Kiara.
Hi, I'm Kiara. I'm from Trinidad. I am 15. I go to New Mission High School. I also do not know what I want to be when I get into college, but anything in the business or medical industry is fine with me.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, for introducing yourselves. Before we get started, I want to, like I said, once again, welcome everybody to come today and just go over little game rules that we have for you. Please fill out all our polls. We're going to have a poll during this program. Also, you're going to get a survey when you leave this program. Please fill out everything. This is our first go through with this, and we definitely want all your feedback. We want to know how we can better serve the community. Ask your questions in the Q&A. Uche will be checking the Q&A as well, and we'll be checking out how things are going. So we'll answer your questions towards the end. We'll have a speaking session, so therefore, please, want to make your comments or ask questions, please feel free. We ask to just keep it a 2-minute limit. Feel free to comment in the chat, make comments, whatever. If you feel maybe you can't hear or something, let us know. And finally, like, you know, we have a $50 Uber Eats giveaway. Please, you know, put your name in the chat, and we'll put you into this randomizer thing that the kids know about. I don't know about it, but they'll announce your who wins the $50 Uber Eats giveaway. That giveaway is going to be good. We got a lot of resources in the allyBoston resources, and a lot of restaurants, a lot of Uber Eats restaurants in your area will be on that resource. So we hope that you patronize those restaurants in our community. Finally, respect our family. Where you know, whatever comments you make, please make sure it's respectful of everybody. And without further ado, let Chris take it away.
Okay, great. So, we're about to play the Black National Anthem. It was by NAACP leaders James and John Johnson in 1899. It was first performed in 1900 by 500 children at a segregated school. It was called Santon High School, where James Johnson was the principal.
All right.
Okay, so now thank you everyone for arriving and coming to this presentation. We've worked very hard on this, and we really appreciate everyone coming out today. So we're going to be talking about cultural cuisine, and to me, cultural cuisine is what brings the entire culture together, what brings the family together. My mom's a caterer, and so whenever we're cooking cultural cuisine or what my mom caters for people, we're always dancing, having fun. We dance together while we cook, and it's a way to bring us all together closer as a family. It gives us those family experiences that everyone wants, and it's a great time. It's always a great time. So now, cultural cuisine is also a melting pot of all different types of cultures. As you can see, when Africans and slaves were brought from Africa to the Americas, and they integrated their food and their style with the food and style in the Americas, which would create the unique type of food that we have today. So more on cultural cuisine, we have Uche with Akaraje.
Thank you, Chris. And again, thank you everybody for coming to the webinar today. So one of the cultural foods is akara. And akara comes from Nigeria. And it is a dish made from peeled beans that are formed into balls and then deep fried in oil. And so it originally comes from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria. And when the Yoruba slaves were brought to Brazil, specifically the northeastern state of Bahia, they brought along with them their cultural knowledge and cultural recipes, this one being akara. And so you can see on the left that's the akara from Nigeria, and on the right is the one that is now in Brazil. And so akara J, the J in akara J actually means eat in the Yoruba language. So there's probably some translation confusion because the word J means to eat, and so they probably said akara J, like let's eat akara. So that's like kind of a cool cultural artifact and fun fact about akara J. And akara J is usually served with a stew that is made from coconut milk, red palm oil, dried shrimp, cashews, peanuts, herbs, and ginger. And in Nigeria, it's usually served as a breakfast along with other starchy foods. And so the main ingredients of akara J are pepper, ground black-eyed peas, salt, and onions. And even though some of the most healthy food, it still has a wide variety of healthy ingredients. And during slavery back then, akara J brought a lot of economic benefits because obviously you need people to make the beans and then to make akara J. So that production helped them to earn money and just kind of help them overall. And you could also make a restaurant serving akara J, so you could also earn money from that. And it's also just great that they kept this cultural knowledge with them and passed on these cultural artifacts. And so now Kyle's going to talk more about cultural artifacts.
Thank you, Uche. Thank you everyone for coming out again. I really want to stress that, we worked really hard on this and that, we really appreciate everything you guys did by coming out. So to get started, I want to ask, what do you guys think cultural artifacts are? While you're saying your answer, I want to dive.
Using.
All right. So as you can see, cultural artifacts are something that that are brought down from our ancestors and something that's means a lot to us, especially people of color. I think that cultural artifacts, they vary from person to person. They can cultural artifacts can be used as medallions. They could be food, and it doesn't even have to be a physical object. It can be something like a language, something that's passed down from ancestor to ancestor, that's brought from there to here today, is something that you can consider a cultural artifact. And everyone has something that could be that could be considered a cultural artifact. And I think everyone is able to know what is and what isn't a cultural artifact, and can attest to the fact that it's really something important to you. More to tell you about that is Kiara.
Thank you, Kyle. I will be talking to you more about African diaspora and what African diaspora is. So African diaspora are Africans who are descended from slaves, they're African immigrants and friends. So I'll dig a little deeper into each of these categories. So African Americans. These are the Africans that landed in the United States, and they were affected severely by Jim Crow laws and systemic racism, and they lost a lot of most of their cultural artifacts. Next is Afro-Latin or Black Latin Americans. What separates these people from the diaspora is they actually speak Spanish. They're from South America, and they're Native American, like the Taino tribe and the Mayans, and basically, yeah. And next is the African immigrants, and these people, they came from all over Africa, Chad, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and yeah, they immigrated to wherever to find, to get a better life, better education, better jobs, better opportunities. And next is Friends of Africa. These people, they're not necessarily African. They could be white, they could be Asian, they could be Brazilian. They're just in an alliance with the African diaspora. And lastly is Afro-Caribbean. These people, they're a blend of all diaspora, so the African Americans, the Latins, the immigrants, everything. And more to talk to you about culture is Kaya.
Hi everyone. Caribbean cultural foods. As a Jamaican, I'm very familiar with Caribbean cultural foods. One cultural food of Jamaica is beef patties. Beef patties are pastries that are filled with beef or can be chicken that have flaky crust. Being from the Caribbean, many of Jamaica's dishes are similar to other Caribbean countries. For example, Haiti. Haiti has the Haitian patty. The Haitian patty is also a pastry that is filled with beef or chicken that also has a flaky crust. Throughout the Caribbean, we use many cultural artifacts that create similar dishes. And this video will show you more in content.
Take a look at these dishes. Whether you live in the Caribbean, or visited the region, or simply been to a restaurant serving Caribbean cuisine, you've probably tasted one or more of these dishes. Many of them and the culture that they represent have been popularized the world over. Here's a Caribbean fusion restaurant in Canada. Here's one of many in the United States. Here's one in Germany. Here's one even in Hong Kong. This style of cuisine has become synonymous with the laid-back, fun-in-the-sun lifestyle of the Caribbean. But it wasn't always so. In fact, some of the ingredients in the very food we eat today have much darker history to them than what meets the eye. What you'll find out is that this is what you get from cultures from all over the world, over a span of centuries of adding their own ingredients into the pot, making what we call today Caribbean cuisine. Imagine the Caribbean as an empty clay pot for now. Watch and see how different cultures start to add to that pot. When you look at many of the fruits that have been most synonymous with the Caribbean, such as breadfruit, mangoes, and sugarcane, we automatically think these fruits originated from the Caribbean, right? But the truth is, they're not. You have the European settlers to thank for that, as the Spanish, French, and English introduced many of these fruits and ingredients from other places. So the next question you might be asking, if breadfruit, mangoes, and sugarcane aren't Caribbean in origin, then what is? That would be the yams, papayas, guavas, and cassava scattered around the archipelago. This was the diet of the first true settlers of the Caribbean, the Carib, Arawak, and Taino tribes that came from South and Central America. And when it comes to the seasoning of meats and fish, the Caribs introduced various spices to their recipes. After the Amerindians and Europeans' contribution to this pot, came the Africans through the Atlantic slave trade, and this is where things started to get a little dark with regards to food. You see, for the Africans, blending different unfamiliar ingredients into their recipes wasn't a matter of delicacy. It was often essential to their survival. A slave's diet in those days mostly consisted of the foods that their slave masters didn't want to eat themselves, so they had to get creative. They blended their traditional African foods with the staple foods they found on the islands, introducing things such as okra, kalaloo, saltfish, and ackee into the mix. You could say that they were the ones who actually started to stir this Caribbean pot of foods together, making it closer to the familiar recipes we see today. Next would be the Chinese and Indian indentured laborers who would come and introduce such ingredients as rice and curry, and sailors who moved back and forth through the Americas to a lesser extent brought in the ingredients they got there as well, like corn, beans, potatoes, and tomatoes, making the pot of Caribbean cuisine we know and love today. You might wonder, if each island developed their cuisine individually, how did they all develop generally the same Caribbean fusion taste? Well, actually, they kind of didn't, and did at the same time. As each island developed their own cuisine, they ended up with some very unique dishes, almost exclusive to their respective islands, and in some cases becoming that island's national dish, such as ackee and saltfish in Jamaica, and greenfig and saltfish in St. Lucia. But there are also some dishes, as a result of many of the same ingredients being accessible in each island, recipes such as cook-up or pilau, as it's called in some parts, became common throughout the region. And we can't talk about Caribbean food without mentioning the seasoning. Seasoning, which in the Caribbean is a green herb and oil-based marinade, is actually quintessential to its flavor and is used in just about every island in the region, as a result giving this part of the world its distinct character. One thing is for certain, Caribbean cuisine is a clear example of what can happen when a region becomes one of the crossroads of the world. Had the Atlantic trade winds not been there to carry the many different cultures from around the world through this region, we wouldn't have this amazing amalgamation of cultures to celebrate today. In fact, Caribbean cuisine actually stands as a testament to the diversity of the region that we celebrate. When we eat our favorite local dish as Caribbean people, we're eating what represents a mirror of who we are, not as Amerindians or Europeans or Africans or even Asians, but as Caribbean people, a melting pot of cultures.
Neil said, the Caribbean is a melting pot of many different cultures. In the Caribbean, many ingredients was brought to the islands, and African slaves would incorporate fruits and vegetables on the islands with the ones imported to help create their own cultural dishes. Having their own dishes helped the slaves to create their own identities and culture that was taken from them in the African diaspora. Next, we will be talking about African Americans' cultural resilience. As we know, African Americans have had most of their African identities stripped away from them due to the African diaspora. During the transatlantic slave trade, enslaved Africans were given smaller food rations that were low in quality and nutritional value, but were able to make positive meals out of what they were given. Even though African Americans have had a part of their identity stripped away from them, they were able to build on their circumstances and create their own culture. Soul food is a cultural food of African Americans from the South. The expression soul food was originated from the mid-1960s, where soul was used to describe African Americans during that time. Now we will watch a funny clip of Soul Food Pride.
So glad we could bring this project to this neighborhood.
Oh, it's so rich in history.
I grew up in a neighborhood like this.
Oh, yeah, I grew up in a neighborhood exactly like this.
All right, welcome to Mama Sugar Banks. Y'all ready to order?
Yeah. Can I have a chicken fried steak with gravy and a cola?
I will have the baked beef short ribs with collard greens and throw down some of that cornbread.
All right, babe.
You know what? Hold up a second. I'm also going to have some of them collard greens and cornbread as well, but hook a brother up with some of them hot ones.
All right.
All right.
You know what? Why am I trying to front? Scratch all that. Give me some okra and some fried red snapper. And girl, you know I want some chitlins.
All right, now.
Y'all got ham hocks?
Of course.
Well, that's what I want. I want a plate of ham hocks, deep fried, blackened, and served on a bed of mustard greens.
Pig feet. I want some pig feet and 4 pounds of grits. And you know what else? Give me a little Dixie cup full of lard. All right?
I just remember what I want. A bowl of mosquitoes. None of them tiny ones either. Give me them big motherfuckers you find down at the swamp.
Sister, could you please hook a brother up with a rusty bucket full of fish heads wrapped in razor wire?
Donkey teeth.
Donkey teeth.
Straight out a donkey's mouth. You know what? It. Any animal tooth will do. I want you to stick it in some honey glaze, fry it with fat back, and serve it in an old tin coffee can.
Forget everything I said up to this point right now. Bring me some dandelion greens, a cow hip, and a dog face. Wrap that whole mess in an old ebony magazine and serve it to me in a shoebox.
Okay, I want a platter of stork ankles, an old cellar door, a possum spine, and a human foot.
You want a human foot? I got just one question for y'all. You want gravy on that salad dough?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah, you got to put gravy on there.
What's a cellar door without gravy?
It's not food.
Because of this pride and cultural resilience, African Americans are able to connect to other cultures and are also influenced by other cultural cuisine, also like Caribbean and Cajun, for example, jambalaya and gumbo. Next, we will have Chris.
You're muted.
Chris.
Sorry, we're having issues again.
Don't worry about it. Are you?
Okay, so next we're going to be practicing an African oral tradition.
Is your camera on? Is your camera on? Or that's the issue?
Can you guys see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, great. So next we'll be practicing an African oral tradition. We've been practicing this over the last few weeks of us working together. So in African oral tradition, or in traditional culture, it's basically you say something and you put it into existence so that something positive will happen to you. So you only say good and positive things so that they will manifest themselves. You try not to say bad things so that they don't happen. And so we will be trying to speak this into existence, and we'll be attempting to say this together. My body is healthier every single day.
My body is healthier every single day.
Okay, and well, y'all need to work on that. But now we're going to be going on to Cultural Cuisine health facts, and we'll be going through the different types of food, and we'll be comparing the garbage and poison that America feeds to you every day to the actual good food that you can get every day from a cultural restaurant or cultural cuisine. So starting off, we have Kyle.
Thank you, Chris. So, African Heritage Diet. African Heritage Diet is about food, and food is more than something to nourish your body. Food is something that makes everyone happy. Food is something that, you can bind and can connect with people with, and it improves the lifestyle in which we live. There's a video to show you more on that.
All right.
This is more than just about food. It really is about shaping people's identity and how they see themselves through their food, how they see their culture being a part of their health solution. The Taste of African Heritage and Health program is for anyone, whether it's been trying to lose weight, improve their health, lacking cooking skills, don't know other creative ways, enhance their meals in their homes. The research really does show that when we eat a more traditional heritage diet, that we improve our health outcomes. And I think that's really the core of what Old Ways is about and what it's doing in terms of helping the community. This program now with the Taste of African Heritage and Health.
African Heritage Diet Pyramid was created with a committee of nutrition scientists, experts in culinary history and African American foodways.
Much easier to do because you can identify.
The core of what Old Ways is about and what it's doing in terms of helping the community. This program now with the Taste of African Heritage and Health.
African Heritage Diet Pyramid was created with a committee of nutrition scientists, experts in culinary history and African American foodways.
Much easier to do because you can identify with that. I know what greens are. And so I can identify with, eat a lot of this. You can have the brown rice and the millet and you know, the barley. You have all of these healthy whole grains here.
And those kinds of grains that really is a part of the heritage that needs to be built upon. On top of that, the tubers, the healthy starches from the yams to the sweet potatoes. And then you have the balance of fruits that will come from everything from the tropical fruits like the papayas, the melons, the mangoes, the pineapples, the bananas, plantains, and them serving as really desserts compared to what we traditionally have now.
Once you sort of shift your mindset to looking at your plate as more of a heritage plate, it's going to redefine everything that you can put on there. So when you look at a plate now and you say, that should have some whole grains, or that should have and beans, and my greens, and my vegetables, fruit for dessert.
And it's so empowering. This idea of connecting to your heritage and improving your health through connecting to your heritage.
In the Taste of African Heritage and Health program, we evaluate how the students are going through the process and what lessons that we can learn to improve the program and what it has meant for their life and for their family, and most of all, how they have improved their health.
So my name is Danessa Bowling. I live in Houston. I am actually on my 4th series of the class. I committed myself to do this for a full year. So it was a time of a serious transition for me. And so at this point, I had lost my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt to cancer. It's like, okay, being realistic, I'm overweight. I'm at risk for diabetes. Yeah, I'm African American. I just didn't know what to do. I can't control cancer. I can't control heart disease. I can't control diabetes. I can control this. This is my thing I can do. And so I thought, well, I'll do it and I'll teach it and it'll help me. Is in addition to teaching and learning and eating healthy, you get this sense of community with people.
This idea of culture being a part of your medicine. We talk about cultural competency, but we never really see the integration of culture in the form of community programs. And the Taste of African Heritage and Health program does the very thing that the community has been longing for, and why it's being embraced so much more than ever, and why it's so desperately needed.
I believe that this can be the thing that could bring people together, where we could break down some barriers that we never thought could be broken down with food.
The idea of our culture and our community, they both are tied into our cuisine, can be a part of our medicine, our nutrition. That's what this program provides more than ever.
All right, so as you can see from this video, African heritage diet and diets and African cuisine is something that's very serious. It's something that's very sentimental to all of us. is something that we don't take lightly, and it's something that you should embrace every day. In addition to learning and having the food, you get to form bonds with people that you share the same types of likeness of food for, whether it's, you know, learning a different recipe or different way to cook that same thing that you love. It's a different way to cook it from a different person. It's all how you get to know each other and form a community and form a bond with one another. And it's something really special. And, you know, it's something that can't be forgotten and won't be forgotten. Next, to tell you and to get a deeper dive on that is Kiara.
Thank you, Kyle. So yes, I will be talking to you more about minerals, vitamins, and nutrition overall. So vitamins and minerals are basically substances in your body that keep you healthy, and there's a certain amount that you should be eating and intaking every day. And what basically informs us about these vitamins and minerals are nutrition labels. The FDA mandates that every food item must have this on it, this label, so that you can know how much sodium, how much fat, cholesterol, carbohydrates are going into your body. A big part of maintaining health is calories. You really should count your calories and how much you intake every day. You shouldn't go past 2,000 calories per day. And so calories, everything has a certain amount of calories. Like, for example, a Burger King meal, a meal at Burger King is 1,200 calories. Now, that's quite a bit. You only have 800 calories left to eat, and there's not much that you could eat with that. Well, you would have to eat something very healthy. And you could burn calories. Like, it will probably take you an hour to burn like 200 to 300 calories. And that's how people kind of get away with eating more calories, is they exercise to burn it. And Uche is going to talk to you more about exercising and burning calories.
Thank you, Kiara. So as Kiara said, along with a healthy diet, to have a healthy lifestyle, you also need to exercise. And a healthy lifestyle is really all about balancing. That takes like balancing your mind, body, and soul. And exercising will help you be able to enjoy more of the foods you love, because you will also be burning those calories throughout the day, so you can eat more calories. And exercise also has many health benefits. So one of the benefits it has is releasing endorphins, which helps you to feel happier and helps to boost your mood, which like helps to boost helps with your soul. And it also helps to decrease your anxiety and stress. So like if you're having a bad day, you can go to the gym, like you may go on a run, lift some weights, just kind of burn off all that stress and anxiety. That really just helps to clear your mind. And like Kiara said, it also helps to control your weights. So depending on what you feel like your body needs, you can either lose, gain, or maintain your weight with exercise and a healthy diet. And that just helps to keep your body healthy. And it also helps to reduce your risk for heart disease, which just helps your overall health, because if your body is healthy, then your heart's going to be healthy as well. And exercise also helps to strengthen your lungs, blood circulation, muscles, and organs. And it helps strengthen your lungs because while you're exercising, you need to like breathe, obviously, so you breathe in, breathe out, and that helps to strengthen your lungs. And obviously lungs are very important because you need to be able to breathe. And so you should always find exercise that you enjoy. And so an exercise that you can do is meditation. And that just helps with your mind and soul, because it helps to clear your mind and helps you to stay at peace. And another great way to exercise is dancing, which helps you get physical while you're also having fun, listening to the music that you love. So that helps with your soul and for your body overall. And lastly, you can also do yoga, which helps with all three, your mind, body, and soul, because you're being active while you're also being peaceful and just helping your mind clear your mind and stay relaxed. And so yeah, you should just find exercise and the workouts that you enjoy, so you can be more motivated and interested in keeping and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And so now we're going to go to Kaya talk about a bad diet.
Thank you, Uche. As we know, a bad diet can lead to negative health effects like obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, and a shorter life. Now this video was... childhood obesity. Childhood obesity can have many negative effects like diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. As kids, many unhealthy foods are appetized to us and to eat. Just because we are young does not mean that we won't endure all these negative effects. One solution to combat childhood obesity is to eat more healthier as a family and promote exercise. In communities of color, people are put at a higher risk to have bad diets and underlying bad health conditions, which is evident by the effects of the coronavirus in our communities. Next, we have Chris.
Chris.
Okay, so now we have racism, food location, and health. So in the early 1930s, after the Great Depression, the government started a racist scheme called redlining, where they would basically separate black neighborhoods from white neighborhoods, and these black neighborhoods would get less resources and less opportunities than the white neighborhoods. This would also lead to people coming into those black neighborhoods and taking advantage of the situation, providing them with unhealthy food, giving them less access to healthier foods like vegetables, and filling the places with fast food and other things like that. This will later on go to show where there will be many people in black neighborhoods where they would have high cholesterol, diabetes, and all these other resulting unhealthy health conditions. And so now we're going to be going on to other enemies of cultural cuisine. And so here you can see that more restaurants can't compete, like cultural restaurants that would have cultural food, they can't compete with these big fast food chains because first of all, they have less money and their food is more expensive because they can't make it for the same price. So a Dunkin' Donuts and a Burger King, their food will be much cheaper than a cultural cuisine restaurant in any major metropolitan city. And so also that will make it so easy for your average person to be able to just go to a Dunkin' Donuts and buy food for cheap because they are already in these black neighborhoods that get less resources. So they would have less money and they would end up going to a fast food restaurant that costs less. And so another enemy is how kids are bombarded from childhood to think that these fast foods are good. You could just see it in the Happy Meal. The Happy Meal comes with a toy to invoke joy in kids, and it makes them associate a good thing in being a Happy Meal, even though the food is unhealthy. And so next, we're going to be talking about cultural food versus fast food with me and Kyle. And so, as you can see, cultural cuisine is much better for you overall. It has better everything, to be honest. It will nourish your body in the proper way. It'll keep you healthier, and overall, it will have the least bad health effects. And Kyle, what about fast food?
You're muted, Kyle.
I'm sorry. As you know, Chris, fast foods putting poison in your body, and it's something that you really don't want. And fast food doesn't give you the nutrients that your body needs daily, and it's something that just we could all stand to not have. And Chris had a really good point on how kids associate a toy with a Happy Meal. They think that the bad stuff is good, and that's how they get into your head. And that's their goal, is to get into your head so that they can get their money, which is really not cool. But they don't give you the calories that you need, and it's too much calories. It's really bad for you. It's bad food, and it's just something that we shouldn't have to eat, or shouldn't be eating, or shouldn't be feeding our kids as well.
Okay, so now we have yet another oral African affirmation, and hopefully we don't mess it up this time. We'll be speaking this into existence, and so I will immerse myself in my culture.
So I will never lose that
connection. It was still terrible. But so now we're going to be going on to connecting to culture through cuisine. And so first we're going to be starting off with first generation American culture with Uche.
Yes, thank you, Chris. So I'm going to be talking about first generation American culture, which also includes Afrimerican culture, which is actually the name of this organization, Afrimerican Culture Initiative. And so first generation American is someone whose parents were not born in the US, but then they were born and raised in America, or someone who might have been born in their family's culture and family's country, but then they were brought over to the US at a very young age. So they never really got to live and experience their family's country. And so first generation Americans really get to experience both cultures, their family's culture and America's culture. So they're kind of like natural bridges between both cultures. And a great example of this is Obama, because his dad is Kenyan and his mom is American. And so he was able to build the largest multicultural coalition in American history. And now we're going to be watching this video and learn more about the identity of a first generation American.
Hey everybody, my name is Samara and I am a representative of the McEachran and Theodore lines of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, some of you may know me as your local meteorologist, and when I'm on television, this is how I sound. However, when I'm in the kitchen with my mummy, this is how I sound. Today, I am here to talk about this idea about the evolving identity of a first-generation American. It truly is a lifestyle, and it is so intricately woven into the complex threads of our mixed society that it's easy to overlook. Our identity does not stand at a point of origin, nor does it sit at any particular destination, but rather it flows in this transitory and evolutionary phase that resides kind of in between. Now, the struggle comes into play when we are trying to balance between two different cultures. Let's talk about culture for a moment. It is a beautiful aspect of this life. It's an explosion of dance and music and food, religion, ideology, tradition. And it's so cool because it works as a connector of sorts. It's almost like no matter where you go in the world, if someone has that similar cultural background, you have the premise to, or the ground to start a conversation, initiate a relationship, or even a friendship. And culture is merely a device used to create unity. It's great because we can adapt to new cultures, or we can see the beauty in it being theirs. But again, the complexity arises when you find yourself trying to balance between two distinct cultures. It's interesting to see how many first gens are thoroughly perplexed by their identity and how many are not confused at all. So I took it upon myself to reach out to a few of my friends, and in no way, shape, or form is this a formal statistical analysis, but I wanted to ask them a loaded question, and they know why it's loaded, because you know the feeling you get when you're asked this question. And I told them there's no right or wrong answer, but if someone were to truthfully ask you, what are you, how would you reply? The first group, group one, they completely embraced their parents' heritage. They said, I'm a Trinidadian. Oh, I'm Jamaican. I'm Guyanese. I'm Bajan. Then you had group two who integrated both. I'm Caribbean American. I'm Jamaican American. Some went even as far to say, I was born in America, but my parents, they felt a need to include that because that culture had impacted how they identified. Then there were those who said, I'm purely American. And finally, the group that I can attest to have fallen in time and time again, I don't really know. It's complicated. One person even said, what did they say? They said, that depends on who's asking the question. So you see there, the most intriguing reply, I think, was from two siblings. Grew up in the same house, same parents, and one said, oh, I'm Trinidadian, and the other one said, I'm American. There was no right or wrong answer, but what it did was it highlighted and amplified the forever transient scene lived by a first-gen American. Now, we share traditions that are not widely represented outside of the home, therefore, we miss that chance at unity. But that gap is growing smaller and smaller thanks to the liaison of social media. My relationship with social media. Okay, so some days it's like peace, love, no technology. And then other days it's like the macaroni and cheese is a bomb.com. I have to post that on my Instagram. So it was one of those days where the macaroni and cheese was life-changing. So I posted it on my Instagram feed and I'm perusing through my timeline and I come across this meme. Okay, so now I know that this can affect many cultures or reach many cultures, even artists. This hit home so hard. Immediately, my first reaction was to screenshot it, send it to my roommate from boarding school, who I knew had parents from Guyana, and I didn't have to send a caption. I knew she would know the feeling that was resonating within me of humor. So I distinctly remember my father in the kitchen while I was doing my homework as a child, sharpening my pencils with knives or in the grooves of scissors. To me, it was resourceful, it was normal, and it felt like home. Now, as I would go to bed, I'd put away my homework and I'd wake up the next day to go to class. I would switch out my passports, I would get in the car and we would go to school. And I wouldn't dare sharpen my pencil at school with a knife, partly because I don't think those are allowed, but I wouldn't sharpen them in the grooves of scissors either, in fear of the ridicule that I would receive from my third grade peers. Kids can be mean sometimes. And I just remember the switch. It was a personal struggle that it was developing, and it was at times like this, and there were many times like this in my life growing up in the multicultural home, where I felt a dichotomy arising. It became an intrinsic and innate behavior to switch my identity on and off depending on the groups I was surrounded by. It reached its zenith when I was in college. I was in an argument with a young gentleman who shall remain nameless, and I remember being so frustrated. I don't know how the argument began, but I will never forget how it ended. I found myself at the peak proclaiming, "I'm Trinidadian. Roti, palori, sorrel, mabi, those are my foods. When I'm sad and I want to be lifted, I listen to soca music. When I want to think of home and memories, I hear my grandparents quarreling in their sing-songy accent. How dare he take this from me? But at the same time, dare I detest my American heritage? It afforded my family educational opportunities that allow me to be an atmospheric scientist today, that gave them financial prosperity. I was flustered. I was confused. I wasn't mad at him. I was mad at myself. At that point, I realized throughout this matriculation through his point in college, I realized that he wasn't going to understand. And I knew that at this point in my journey on self-identity, I could not explain or articulate. But today, I can tell you with a surety that as a first-generation American, our identity doesn't have a point of origin. Nor is it traveling to any particular destination, but rather we must find solace and stability in a transitory state. We are swinging pendulums between two worlds, harboring two cultures within us. We get the opportunity to be ambassadors and translators. If you were to ask me today, Samara McEachran Theodore, what are you? I would say I'm a real Trini who was born in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Okay, so as you can see from this video, although it's great to be a part of both cultures, American culture and your family's culture, many first-generation Americans are also split between these cultures because they are growing up in America, so they might feel a loss of connection with their family's culture. And like for me, I don't speak my native tongue, so I feel like that's a really big part in me feeling like a loss of connection with my culture. I feel that like cultural cuisines and cultural recipes is a great way for you to get connected to your culture, because I feel like just like learning more about your culture and just learning all these recipes makes you like feel like closer to your culture. And so now we're gonna hand it off to Kiara, who's gonna talk more about handing down recipes.
Yes, thank you, Uche. So yes, I will be talking about legacies and handing down recipes. So legacies. This is really just like what you hand down from generation to generation, and most people of color houses, they live with a multi-generational family, like they live with their grandma, sometimes great-grandma, or grandparents in general. So these generations would usually pass it down to the lower generation, and they would pass down recipes, knowledge, everything culturally with them. Passing down these recipes, jokes, and knowledge can bring your family together. I know for me, for example, my grandma, she taught me some of her recipes, and it definitely brought us closer. knowing these recipes, jokes, and knowledges can make you feel, it can give you pride. You could feel, it gives you confidence to relish in your culture and in the beauty of your culture. And you get to see the uniqueness and all the benefits of your culture. And actually, one of the benefits is, like, with the recipes they hand down, you could start a restaurant, or you could do what Mr. Solomon did, and you could start a nonprofit and educate people on everything about your culture. And yes, and passing down cultural artifacts like knowledge, recipes, and jokes are just as important as passing down money, land, and material. To talk to you about a cultural recipe is Kaya.
Thank you, Kiara. One cultural recipe that I learned taught to me by my mother is Jamaican curry shrimp. Being first generation American, I'm not able to connect to everything as being raised as a real national of Jamaica, but learning different recipes helps me connect to my culture in a different way. So obviously in this recipe is shrimp, and we use Jamaican curry powder, green peppers, red peppers, onions, garlic, and salt and black pepper. To make it, you'll mix all the seasonings together, then add the oil and garlic to the stove, and then you will put the curry powder in the oil and make sure it gets brown a little bit or gets color. And then now you would add your peppers and your onions and then the shrimp and let it cook. This is really usually eaten with like white rice. And this dish is like a way for me and my family to just talk to each other and like connect to each other. I don't even like gossip and like have laughs. And yeah. Next we have Kiara.
So the cultural recipe that I'll be talking about is curry potato and rice. So this is a recipe that my grandmother taught me. It has a lot of different ingredients like culantro. Culantro, actually, I'm Trinidadian, so we call it shadow benny, but in most places you'll find it as culantro. Onion, garlic, of course curry, and potato, and black pepper, pimento pepper. So basically what you want to do is you want to cut everything up. You want to put your curry and your culantro, your onion and your garlic in the pot first, and then you want to let that cook a little bit, and then you add the potato and you add the water to make sure it's covered so the potatoes can fully cook. And then you let it cook for 15 to 20 minutes, and then it's done. It tastes amazing. I definitely recommend you trying this recipe. You can eat it with rice. I'm sure that you can eat it with roti and pumpkin and curry chicken and curry goat. You can eat it with rice and whatever you want. And another cultural recipe that will be talked about next is by Uche.
Thank you, Kiara. So now we have puff puff. So puff puff is a Nigerian snack that is like kind of like fried dough or a donut, and it's very fluffy and sweet. So it's really perfect whenever you're craving like sugar, like a dessert. And it's very simple and easy to make. All you need is some water, some yeast, flour, sugar, salt, and oil. And so basically to make it, you just need to combine the ingredients of water, yeast, flour, sugar, and salt. And then you have to let it rise for at least an hour or two because of the dried yeast. And you just put it in the oil to deep fry, and then you get this really nice brown tan color. So this video is going to show you how to fry the puff puff.
Hey, I'm hungry too.
So you see where I'm
you're making me so hungry.
Like once in a while, I dip that scoop in normal oil, not the one in the panel, just oil on the side so that the mixture doesn't stick to the scoop. And as you can see, I'm just snipping my puff puff. They are fairly round, aren't they? Like, why use your hands when you can use a scoop? And you can see some of these puff puff refuse to turn. That's how life is. Some people are just stubborn. They don't want to be great. I'm going to scoop my puff puff out and allow it to drain. As you can see, it looks yummy and it tasted so yummy. And we're going to do this all.
So yeah, so that's how you make puff puff. And now I'm gonna hand it over to Chris to introduce the next section.
Okay. So this is yet another oral affirmation. I'm praying to God we don't mess this up.
We're gonna do great. This time we're gonna
all
do
right,
it, guys.
So we'll be speaking this into existence.
I will be my
own
own
boss,
the person on my
card.
business card.
And we butcher it yet again. Okay, so for the last few weeks, we've been doing financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And so we did some business cards for our businesses, and it's basically the first step of us putting our brand out there and embodying our brand, showing that it's a part of us and that we're invested into it. And so I will be starting off with a business that I already own. On the next slide. So Final Days brand, this is a brand I started at the beginning of this year before the whole coronavirus situation, and we were doing fairly well. We did a whole Boston drop / like Boston collection where we basically dropped a whole bunch of clothes dedicated to the Boston area. And before the whole corona situation, we were doing pretty well. We were making pretty good cash flow, but COVID kind of messed up everything. But we'll be coming back soon. But yeah, next we have Braids with Uche.
So during this quarantine, I was very bored. So I thought it'd be a really cool thing to learn how to do box braids on my hair. So when Mr. Solomon was like, oh, think of a business to make, I thought of doing a box braid on natural hair. So my business would be called Braids by Uche. And to contact me, you could email me or reach my phone number or social media, Braids by Uche. And so basically, I just offer box braids on natural hair at a price of around $70 to $100, depending on the length and the size. But yeah, so that is my business. And next we have Kiara with KC Cupcakes.
Don't forget you're doing social distancing too.
Yeah, social distancing, wearing masks, obviously, because I cannot catch corona. So now we're gonna have Kaya with KC Cupcakes.
Before quarantine, one hobby of mine was baking, and now during quarantine, I kind of took it more seriously, and my family actually encouraged me to actually create it into a business where I would be able to sell it for anybody to use it in parties, celebrations, or just if you have a sweet tooth. So next is Kiara.
Yeah, so this is my brand, Cooked by Kiara. As I said before, my grandma passed me down a lot of her recipes. So I decided to open a catering business where I serve Caribbean cuisine. And we do baby showers, birthdays. If you just want to eat, it's up to you. All my social medias are there, and telephone and email. And next we have Kyle with his business.
Thank you, Kiara. So I like training and I like playing sports. So I thought it would naturally be right for me to do something to, get back to my community and be able to show people how I train. And thus I created Level Up Lifting by Kyle King. And Level Up Lifting is, it's not just weight room, it's conditioning, it's anything you want it to be. It could be yoga, it could be all different types of workouts, anything to get you loose, anything to, get you out and about. And Level Up Lifting has different levels. It has a very low level for people who are new to the workout scene and want to just hit the ground a little bit with just some starters. And then there's intermediate, people who know what they're doing. People want to get a good workout, and there's a harder level. We could train really hard and push ourselves to the max, which is something that is really I'm really adamant about, and I'm really excited to work out with other people, and I'm really excited to give my 2 cents to everyone and show everyone how to work out and help everyone out, get better this quarantine.
Nice.
Okay. This is a final affirmation. We're probably gonna mess it up. But let's try it.
Can we have some positive energy?
Okay, speak this into existence.
We have the power to fix it.
That wasn't too bad.
It was not too bad. Thank you, Uche.
It was a bit better.
We have to speak. We have to speak the positivity into existence too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about how to make a difference. So we have many things we want to talk about on how we can change things in the United States and mostly in Boston too. And so, starting off, we're gonna be talking about Burger King versus Boston Prep, and we will be having Kyle to start off.
Thank you, Chris. This is my biggest problem, and I have a lot of things to say about this. Mrs. Torres. So I live very close to this crisis, and this is what's happening in Hyde Park currently. In Hyde Park, there's a school called Boston Prep, and there's a school called, and there's establishment Burger King. Everyone knows a Burger King. Living in Hyde Park, I can walk out my door, and I could turn left, go up the street, and I could be in Mattapan, and there's a Burger King. I could turn my head right, and now there's a Burger King, and there's McDonald's right down the road from that. That's not something that I want in my community, and that's not something that I need in my community. I don't think it's much harder for someone to put a healthy establishment for everyone to help better us. And the fact that you put that there, and then the fact that you have a school next to it doesn't help the case even worse. It makes everything so much worse. I think that, think about it like this. You have the windows open, you have Burger King coming in through the window, and your kids can't wait to skip lunch and instead go eat Burger King. Like, it's poisoning us, and it's targeting, a prioritarily Black, Hispanic, and Latino population. And it's something that I don't like. Something that needs to be stopped. So what we've done is Burger King, if you've been in the area, it's up, it's ready to go. But we took action, and we actually have stopped that for now, and we're fighting to make sure it doesn't open. And if enough of us speak up, I think that they wouldn't have any problem with canceling it. And it needs to be canceled. Something that shouldn't be here, and something we don't need in our community. How hard is it to put a Whole Foods right there where that Burger King is? Everyone's gonna be happy. You won't hear any complaints if there's something better. But when you shove food down people's throats, it's gonna get to the point where someone's gonna say something, and it's gonna be a big problem. So hopefully we can all make sure Burger King doesn't open right next to a school. Next is Kiara and Kaya, I believe.
Next, we will be talking about the Census 2020. The census is the process of gathering information about the general population in the country. In the census, there will be questions asked like, what's your race, your sex, and general questions like that. The census is given to one person in each household to fill out, and it's passed out every 10 years. And any of the information used in the census cannot be used against you. And this video will explain it more.
Beginning in March, the U.S. Census Bureau will invite households across the country to participate in the 2020 census. But what is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the United States. To be sure the government represents the people, the U.S. Constitution requires a population count every 10 years. Ever since 1790, the census has determined the number of seats each state receives in the U.S. House of Representatives.
It is, and always has been, a cornerstone of our democracy. We still use it to determine representation, but leaders also use the data to make decisions. Your response helps guide planning for the future of our communities. The 2020 census will help inform decisions on how billions of dollars are allocated annually for critical public services like roads, schools, hospitals and healthcare clinics, fire and emergency response services, and hundreds of other programs. In 2020, for the first time, you'll be able to complete the census online, by phone, or by mail. It asks a few simple questions, like how many people live in your home on April 1st, including their age and sex, and if there are any children living there. You should know that by law, all census responses are completely confidential, and your personal information cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So whether your family has participated for decades or the 2020 census will be your first, we all have a role in shaping the future of our country.
Next is Kiara to explain the importance of the census and why you should fill it out.
So yes, as Kai said before, the census informs us about the races and the ethnicities in our communities. So as you can see by the graph, half of the graph, this graph was connected by the Census Bureau. So half of the graph is basically white people and the other half is people of color. As you can see, people of color are going to be more than half of the population in the U.S. for the first time ever. It's growing a lot, and the video that is about to be played will talk to you more about the growth of people of color in the U.S.
How a more diverse America makes you feel is the core division in our political and cultural fights right now. But to see why, you need to know how we're changing and how a changing country changes us. Here's the big picture. The U.S. is at a demographic tipping point, a genuinely historic moment. 2013, it was the first year that a majority of U.S. infants under the age of 1 were non-white. By 2016, white deaths had outnumbered white births, but America's overall population, it's not expected to decrease. And that's because the Black, Asian, and especially Latino and mixed-race populations, they're also growing. They're growing fast. By 2045, the Census Bureau projects that non-Hispanic whites will no longer be a majority, and also that foreign-born residents are going to make up a record share of the population. So when you show people these numbers about how America is changing, what goes through their heads? What is their response?
I think people are hearing these changes as somehow a fundamental remaking of what America is. At least a lot of people are hearing it, and some of them are excited about it, and some of them are not so excited. We see, on average, white Americans, when they read about this majority-minority shift, becoming more politically conservative.
Jennifer Richardson is a psychologist who studies how people react to demographic change. She won a MacArthur Genius Grant for this work. And what she's found helps explain a lot of what we're seeing. For instance, when white political independents who live in the West were told that whites were no longer majority in California, they became 11 percentage points more likely to support the Republican Party. That is a huge change. And it's important to say, this is a human reaction to demographic change, not just a white one. When presented with similar data on the growing numbers of Hispanics, Asian Americans shifted towards more conservative views. Black Americans shifted towards more conservative views. Being told your group is shrinking or that it's losing power, it's scary for anyone.
Losing numbers are associated with losing status, losing power, losing currency in the culture.
There are a lot of studies like these, but the one I find myself thinking about the most was done by Harvard's Ryan Enos.
What we did is we sent these 2 Spanish speakers out to catch a train at a certain time every day over a period of days. We'd sent out research assistants and they surveyed these people waiting on the train. And that little exposure was enough to move these attitudes in the survey. They're more likely to say we should send those children of immigrants back to Mexico. They're more likely to say we should decrease immigration from Mexico. and they're even more likely to endorse that English should be the official language of the United States.
We saw a version of this in the election then too, right?
So in states, and even in smaller areas in states, in these counties where the Spanish population changed very rapidly, we saw that these voters had moved towards supporting Donald Trump. And a lot of them actually looked like they were these people that previously had been Democrats.
So here then is what we know. Even gentle, unconscious exposure to reminders that America is diversifying, and particularly to the idea that America is becoming a majority-minority nation, it pushes folks towards more conservative policy opinions, towards more support of the Republican Party. So what happens when those reminders aren't gentle?
Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people. And they're changes that none of us ever voted for, and most of us don't like.
Our Christian heritage will be cherished, protected, defended like you've never seen before.
When Obama was elected in 2008, there was all this talk of America moving into a post-racial moment. But the mere existence of Obama's presidency made a lot more of politics about how you felt about race. It had this effect on healthcare, the stimulus package, Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party. Hell, it even had this effect on how people felt about Obama's dog.
So the dog is kind of a fun experiment on a serious topic. Both Teddy Kennedy, a well-known liberal Democrat, and Barack Obama have the same dog. Their two dogs are actually related, Portuguese water dogs. So let's see how people respond to these dogs when you tell one that it's Ted Kennedy and one that it is Barack Obama's. What happens is that when you tell people it's Barack Obama's, racial liberals like the dog more, racial conservatives like the dog less. Obama polarizes more because of who he is rather than what he says and does. And so Obama goes through great lengths in both campaigns to try to tamp down racial divisions, to not talk about race. When he does talk about race, he does so in a message of personal responsibility.
And there was something real here. A few decades ago, a multiracial voter base, it couldn't drive American politics like it can now. Obama won in 2012 with only 39% of the white vote. Previous Democratic candidates, they lost elections in big ways with a lot more support by whites. But by 2016, Trump also proved that a candidate who was explicitly talking to white fears about race could win.
The Republicans now have a temptation to explicitly appeal to race. And you're seeing this throughout Republican primaries in the 2018 cycle. And you're seeing it the reverse on the Democratic side. Abolish ICE is a good example. That is a policy that Democrats would not have been on board with in the 1990s. But their bases have moved, and so the incentives have moved as well.
Now, to say American politics is in for turbulence is not to say we're in for dissolution or civil war. California went through these changes. It experienced this demographic shift, and it didn't fall to pieces. But leading up to that, there was a lot of friction. Voters passed racially charged propositions targeting undocumented immigrants. They banned affirmative action. They restricted bilingual education.
But we also know, right, there are states that have large populations of racial minorities, largely Black Americans, but they're growing in Latinos, that are incredibly unequal in every way, right? So the question is, we want to think, oh, it'll work out, look at California, but it could also work out and be Mississippi.
As the browning of America continues, the cycle of hope about the future activating fears about the present, it's just going to keep going. In that, politicians who can articulate a vision of this future that is inclusive and inspiring and non-threatening, that very mixture Obama sought in 2008, they could reap massive rewards. But as long as much of the country feels threatened by the changes they see, there's also going to be a continuing and maybe even a growing market for politicians like Donald Trump.
Okay, so that was a really good video, and that kind of leads to my point about voting. Voting is very, very important because it helps people to choose their political leaders and who's just like leading our country. And so this video is going to show you how to register your vote.
Is your voter registration up to date? Even if you voted before, from time to time, states and local election offices purge their voter registration lists. They delete people who have moved or who haven't voted in a long time. And sometimes there's just an error. That's why it's a good idea to check your registration now to make sure you can vote on Election Day. Start by finding your local election office at usa.gov/election-office. You may be able to check your registration online, by phone, by mail, or in person. When you're reviewing your voter registration, here's what to look for. Your name is correct and still on the voter list. Your address and party affiliation are up to date. And you're going to the correct polling place. If you can't find your name on the voter list or your information is wrong, contact your election office right away to correct the error. Did you recently move or change your name? Depending on where you live, you'll need to update your registration or re-register. Ask your election office. Sometimes just moving a few blocks away can actually change your polling place. And check your registration if you have not voted in the past couple of elections or you didn't mail back a postcard from your election office. They might consider you inactive and purge your name from the voter registration list. Don't wait until Election Day to discover you can't vote. Check your registration now and learn more about voting at usa.gov/voting.
So voting is very important, especially right now with the coronavirus pandemic going on. And so the next president is really going to kind of decide how many more people are going to die from the coronavirus and just how the U.S. is going to move forward with everything that's going on. So if you guys can vote, please go out and vote for the leader that we need for America right now. Oh, and now we have Mr. Solomon with allyBoston.
Thank you so much, guys. I really want everybody, if you can clap the chat, please give these guys a rousing hand. They did a spectacular job. I'm so proud of them. This is just great. You know, we've been working hard for 6 weeks, and we've really been trying to, put this together. And when you see the final result, I can't say how happy I am. Like I said, we started this organization, and we're going to be doing like an online school and stuff. So this is the first bit. So thank you. Before we get going, we want to do a poll. Let me give you a little bit about what we do, and then we'll get into the question and answer bit. So Afrimerican Cultural Initiative, after George Floyd's passing, I decided to start this allyBoston campaign. It's basically, how do I meaningfully ally with African American communities? And we're looking for basically to identify specific projects. But people don't know, I'm a civil engineer by training. So we're going to use some of this project management skills to try and see how we can solve problems in our community. So we're going to identify specific communities. We're going to get resources from a lot of allies. And I must say, the response has been pretty encouraging. We have a lot of big people coming along to help us put together programs for our community. And then we're going to now work towards these goals. But the main issue is not just to randomly work. We want to have measurable outcomes. We want to take like Black Lives Matter energy and turn it into actual outcomes. So our first project, of course, this is what we do. We believe that educating our youth, giving them proper dynamics, proper understanding, African cultural education and what that means, giving them a place in this world. I guess I'm very happy with the Kamala Harris choice, and it's not about being political or anything. It's just about culture. My daughter now has somebody to look up to, and you have to believe, and you have to have a culture of believing, and that's what we want to instill here at the Afrimerican Cultural Initiative. So this program, this is the beginning, but it needs help. We need to push it to the next level. We have like online education. We teach project management, event planning. Everything you see here, these guys have done. They put together these slides. They put together how to talk about it. We rehearsed. We talked about financial literacy. You saw their business cards, cultural nutrition, which is what this whole thing is about. We have a Lives in Challenge competition in which we give away free DNA tests and other things. That's another way you can help out this program, just by even funding. You know, we deal with kids that have communities of color. There's issues with activity. They need computers. They need organ sports. They need mentors. They need apprenticeships. We have a lot of dreams here, and they just need a little bit of, you know, support and direction, and they can make it. I mean, it's not even a thing, you know. This project, like I said, was funded by the city of Boston, summerlink program. So this is one thing I do like about Boston. Boston has a bit more sense than other places. And NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, also has been supporting us. Yeah, so this is our first outside project of allyBoston. One of the reasons why I picked it up, well, I live in Hyde Park. The kids go to Boston Prep. I have 2 children that attend there. And I won't go into too much. I won't go into it too much, but obviously, we have this Burger King there, and we can see that it's right across the street from where my kids go to school. I don't think my kids need to be able to have to come outside of their school and smell Burger King. It's going to be open from 6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not even, like Kyle said, I don't want to go too much because he's already talked a lot about why. But as a parent, what I did, I'm an engineer, so I put together this report, a fast food proximity report. And basically what I did, I went to Google Maps and started taking the distances for the closest McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's. And I took the closest to those restaurants. I got this 1.3 miles. So the average distance from the closest Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's, 1.23 miles. When they put in this new Burger King, it's going to be less than a mile. You're going to have a Burger King, a McDonald's, and a Wendy's. And if this school has 2 Burger Kings itself in less than a mile, because if anybody knows the area, they have it on the they have another Burger King on Cummings Highway by Mattapan Square. This number is the closest 3 Burger Kings, the closest 3 McDonald's, the closest 3 Wendy's, and average the distance of all the 9 restaurants, and it's 2.2 miles. So it's 2.2 miles radius, and you have 9 of these restaurants. Remember, this does not count. And then also put down here the closest distance. It takes about 2.5 minutes to get to Burger King from the school. Even before, it was only 13.5 minutes walking to the fast food restaurant, and now they made it only 2.5 minutes. So I did this same analysis for not just Boston Prep, but Brooklyn High School, which is predominantly white, and I found that the density is doubled. So we have 2 times the density of Brooklyn High School. You can see 0.9 and 1. Then I also did Jeremiah Burke, was in the traditionally redlined area of the city. And you can see the same, less than a mile for the average of the 3 restaurants. Now, then I also did Newton South. Newton South is even over 3 times. We have over 3 times the density in Boston Prep than Newton South, okay? Now, what is actually really, really scary is when you now look at this average saturation here. The Jeremiah E. Burke has 9 restaurants, 3 Burger Kings. I averaged the distance between 3 Burger Kings, 3 McDonald's, and 3 Wendy's. The closest 3, and the average is 1.5 miles. So I'm an engineer. I'm only here to tell you how close it is to schools. The health ramifications, the kids I've already told you about, and the science is very, very clear. The science is so clear that the mayor of Boston, on June 12th of this year, after George Floyd's death, declared that systemic racism, public health crisis, Boston. So my question to you is, does Burger King Boston PrEP qualified as a public health crisis. Thank you very much for attending. Please, we're going to get to some the polling now. I want to thank you. Please go. You'll have all the resources in the resource page. So I'm going to launch the poll. You guys, please answer all the questions on the poll. And I'm going to even allow my panelists to vote. So I'm launching the poll now. So please, everybody, please, we would like to
and also
answer the questions, and we'll deal with that now.
Also, if you came in late and you want to
Sorry?
if you came in late and you want to be entered into the UberEats giveaway, please put your name in the chat, because right now we only have 4 names. So please, if you want to be in the giveaway, put down your name in the chat.
Very good. So we'll give a couple of minutes for that. So we're about to give away the UberEats giveaway. Wait, if you win, we'll ask you to share information to us privately, and your phone number and your address. Not your address, sorry, your phone number and email address, and then let us, do you have any questions? I think we had some questions. We didn't have anybody put any questions in. Does anybody want to ask any questions or say anything? Can they raise their hands? And I'll unmute you. Okay. I see Manuel. Manuel, I think you can unmute now. I saw his name up. All right. Anybody else want to ask a question? All right, very quiet crowd, but at least I think everybody really had a great time. That's the best part about it. Please, can we hear what you have to say, Sarah? Do you want to say something? It would be nice to hear everybody's voice. So, no, well, we'll wait to see who. Let's wait. Don't yet. Let's to see who's going to win the giveaway. The people. We still have a little. We're going to have a little announcements to do, and I want you guys to see the results of the thing. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. All right, so the Uber giveaway. Now remember, you guys are supposed to have this UberEats giveaway. We have all the links in our resources, and we want you to go into to one of the local restaurants around you and give this money to them, because with this coronavirus, people really need a lot of money, and so that's our way of giving back to the community, and hopefully you'll learn about a new meal that maybe you haven't had before. All right. So let me, I think everybody voted. I'm going to end the polling in a little bit. I'm going to give like another couple of minutes to end the poll. So guys, what do you think? Well, come on, let's hear. What was it? Everybody, I think, really enjoyed it. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uche, your first thing was so great. It was so your first generation. That was awesome.
Thanks to everybody who came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are really
Yeah, well, we're not done yet because we want everybody to see the results. We want to see who the winner is. I can't wait to see who the winner is. So okay, so Uche, do you want to go ahead and okay? Do you want to do it? And then she's gonna announce the winner.
If
so I don't know. Whenever she's ready, she can announce the winner.
All right. If nobody else wants to enter, I'll do it right now.
Okay, I think you've given enough time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Okay, it's choosing the name. The winner is Bridget. Bridget O'Connor.
Bridget won?
Yeah, Bridget O'Connor.
Okay. Well done, well done. Hey. You know what? We'll talk. But when you go to the resources, we have it all broken up into like African food, Latin food, you know, all sorts of African diaspora restaurants. So look on I think I have the link here again. I'm going to post that link again. So the link, you click on there, we have like almost all the African diaspora that UberEats does. So you can just go there, you know. Exactly, Bridget, Bridget, you want to share. All right, so please, Bridget, can you please send us your information? And Uche, please make sure you get our information so that we can I think we have it, but just to make sure, the email, phone number, and like your first and last name, although we already know it. That's awesome. We're moving along. We're moving along. Okay, so let's see what the poll said. Let's see what the poll said. I'm ending the polling. All right, so what does it say? Oh, wow, okay, share results. So now I'm sharing the results. So which member of the African diaspora is the most diverse set of cultural artifacts? It looks like we're tied with African immigrant, Afro-Caribbean. All right. Uche, you want to take this one? You want to, read out the question? Okay, no, I'll read it, don't worry. Select all the examples of the cultural artifacts.
Hairstyles got 100%.
And then we had, yeah, which was it? Hairstyles got 100%? Okay, I noticed you know that. Since you're in the hair business. Okay. Then what was that? Okay, what's the single most important African heritage? Connecting cultural cuisine and health. Yep, everybody. Right. Nutrition, health, and wealth came second. Yep. What enemy of cultural cuisine do you think has impacted you the most? Advertising, media coverage. Okay, everybody. And then racism, redlining. Okay. So positioning. How many hours would it take to run up 1,200 calories, a Whopper meal? Wow. 2 hours and then 6 hours. Actually, the answer is 4 hours.
Yeah, because you burn 300 an hour.
Yep, it's 300 an hour. That was a trick question, guys. We were trying to see you guys were paying attention. And then, what cultural knowledge has been passed on to you so far? Recipes, okay. Clothing style, manners, and etiquette. You see what I said, guys? Manners. Manners is a big one. Everybody likes that you know, you're respectful and stuff. Language, okay. Business skills. See, we got to get this business skills up. What y'all think about that?
You can profit. That'd be great.
Yeah, we got to do something like that.
Would be nice.
Then, yeah. How has your cultural knowledge been beneficial to you? Outdoor, open doors and opportunities, building friendships and connections with others. That is a good one. That is.
I don't have many Nigerian friends.
Really? We have to get you some Nigerian friends.
There are so many
Uche. We've given you one. We've given you Uche. Can I have Uche? Uche can be your friend. So that's problem solved. Then we have, okay, which cultural recipe would you like to try? Okay, puff puff. Okay, everybody should go to Suya Joint. So everybody should go to Suya Joint for puff puff. That puff puff. Uche, you're winning all the games. You won the hair, now you won the Suya. The puff puff. Okay, biggest difference in community the voting census. Voting census, yep. All right. And then finally, what would be, instead of a Burger King in front of it, a local restaurant, food truck, I think that's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. Everybody thinks that they should have a local restaurant food truck too. Yeah, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that. All right, finally, guys, last but not least, I'm doing another webinar on Thursday, September 3rd. I'm right before Labor Day weekend, so before you go out, come in here, get some knowledge. We're going to talk deeply about redlining in Boston and kind of like some of the effects. This is, like I said, I'm an engineer, so this really is something that I feel that there's really not much you can do if the areas have already been cut up in a certain way. So that's why I think that this might be one of the more critical parts of the systemic racism that we have to take on as a community. Go to Eventbrite, get your tickets. I really appreciate everything. So, I mean, thank you for attending. allyBoston, you, me, Cultural Cuisine. I do, like I said, we're doing the education. I do cultural competency. I work with HR departments and companies, corporations, do consulting for diversity training. If you want any more info, please, info@afrimerican1.org. Kids, guys, you know, well done. Say bye-bye to everybody and let's wrap this up.
Guys.
All right, bye everyone.
Thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you guys for coming.
Bye.
Very well done, guys. I am just blown away by how good you guys did.